All right, guys, what's going on? So we actually have a really great story for you. It relates to a story that I have actually covered in the past, but the story actually gets a lot deeper than I thought it originally did. I actually had no clue of some of the other information going on here. So a while ago, it was actually in January, I brought you guys a story about a vehicular crash that took place on South Jefferson Street, where a vehicle was driving at a high rate of speed down that road and it crashed into a parked vehicle, and that vehicle and the other vehicle subsequently burst into flames and essentially exploded. And at that time, it was a big story. We brought you the surveillance camera footage of that incident and that tragedy unfolding in real time. Well, in any event, we came to learn, I subsequently have recently come to learn, that incidents like that are normal on South Jefferson Street, and that the residents who live on that street have frequently had to deal with issues like these, and they've brought those concerns to the attention of the mayor's office and the board of aldermen, but have seemingly not had any resolution on this matter. So again, this is evidently something that is an ongoing issue. This is a problem street, and they have made that very clear to government officials, but yet government officials have not done anything to remedy that situation. And because of that, they have seen a lot of property damage. They've had a lot of vehicles totaled, and people have been killed as a result of this whole situation. So obviously a crazy situation, something that should be addressed, but seemingly is not being addressed by our government officials. Well, I tell you right now, we are going to bring you that initial report that we did back in January. We're going to refresh your guys' memory for those of you who haven't seen that in a while, or for those of you who haven't seen that at all. And then we are going to take you to a recent city mayor and board of aldermen meeting where the residents of South Jefferson Street actually take the podium and give a 3 to 5 minute public comment as it relates to this matter. Guys, it is some of the most excellent public comment that I have seen in a while, so you definitely are going to want to make sure you stick around to view that public comment here after we refresh you guys with that news clip that we did this January, I should say. So with that, guys, check this out. Excellent public commentary. A very tragic situation that is seemingly being blown over and looked over as it relates to the government officials in the city of Frederick who have the responsibility to address situations like these. So with that, guys, check this out, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, what's going on? Levi Trumbull reporting here. So we have something juicy for you guys coming up. We have exclusive surveillance camera footage. So I don't know if you guys heard of a local situation where in Frederick County in downtown, there was an individual who accelerated their vehicle at a high rate of speed into two parked cars in the downtown area. He smashed them into these two vehicles. He jumped out of the vehicle, and after he did that, the vehicle subsequently blew up and engulfed in flames. It was a big disaster down there, and this person who ran out of the vehicle tried to flee the scene. He was then tackled by a man onto the ground, and where he was later arrested shortly thereafter. But it was a big to-do, guys, and we have the surveillance camera of that incident. We're going to bring it to you in one moment. We have AI digitally upscaled that video for you to get a nice clear resolution on that video. So check that out, guys. Maybe some of you heard of this story, maybe some of you guys have not heard of it, but nonetheless, it was a crazy situation. Again, this took place in downtown Frederick, Maryland, a crazy situation. Here is that surveillance camera footage that captured the incident from start to finish. All right, so check this out. This is South Jefferson, and you are about to see a vehicle collide with another and create a very heavy explosion. In just 1 second, you're about to see this vehicle fly in. Here it is. Boom. You see it. The vehicle crashes into, looks like, there you go, right there. There's that big explosion that we told you that was going to come. And In one moment, you're about to see the driver. Oh, you can see it right now. The driver is getting out of the vehicle. He opens up the driver's side door. He's getting out. He's attempting to take off and flee the scene. But he's not going to get very far because one of the residents from the buildings stops the person, jumps on him, and stops him from vacating the scene. As you can see, he's putting his hands on. He's wearing a white shirt. There's a little bit of a scuffle, as you can see right now. Arms flying back and forth. He's trying to get away. Guy grabs him back. As you can see, he's trying to escape again. They're fighting all the way down the street. You see the camera panning. It's going to the left. They're scuffling. The guy's taking him right to the ground. As you can see, now they are on the ground. The guy is holding him in place on the ground, seemingly waiting for the arrival of law enforcement officers and medical personnel. And as you can see, there is another person actually he's standing up besides the two who are now on the ground. There's a little bit of tussle. Now they're rolling over, and one of them is on top. And as you can see, the other person is now getting involved. The guy who was standing above the two, he's trying to get involved to get this whole thing calmed over. And as you can see, more people are coming out of their house, walking down the street now. And as you can see, the one guy who's standing above the two people who are on the ground, he's got his fist sort of clenched like he's ready to throw a punch. And now two people have approached. They're trying to, again, looks like just calm the situation over. It might even look like there's a third person standing above the two who are on the ground as well. And then you got a fourth person coming over, walking down the street, as you can see. Definitely a crazy situation, but one of the things you do not want to miss, and you probably can see it, but in the background you have these giant yellow flames shooting from these two vehicles. And that is just quite a sight to see right there. And so with that, let's turn it over to the residents of this street for public comment.
Residents, some in this room, have told the city for decades that traffic issues on the street are a problem. You can look at the street and just understand that. You can also look at the hundreds of comments circulating all over the place on social media and from around the county indicating that the street is a death trap and needs to be fixed. Yet the city has continued to be negligent and fall back on sorry excuses while ignoring real threats to our lives and property. People have died here, and they're going to continue to die unless you make some serious decisions. So what will it take, Mr. Mayor, Alderman, Board of Public Works, to actually get something done, to talk to your engineering division and take this seriously? We demand you take it seriously and do not give us the same round of excuses you've given us about emergency routes and first responders and speed issues, because we're tired of it. Enough is enough. Come back to us with a real plan and not more excuses. The current situation is a pattern, and it's completely avoidable if you do the right thing. We've already had at least one fatality, several near fatalities, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in property damage. So what's the magic number? Do 10 people have to die? Does a mom walking her kid to Parkway have to be hit and killed? Someone walking back from Frederick High School, someone walking their dog? More importantly, maybe it will take a car plowing through a house and killing a family when they sit down to dinner. My next door neighbors who can't be here tonight have a 5-month-old, and had my only vehicle, the only one that my wife and I share to get to work, not been there, the car would have plowed into their house and killed them and their 5-month-old. So if that's the sort of press that we need to talk about to actually get something done, that's a damn shame. Will the city keep falling back on the same tired excuses, or will you instead be responsible and do the ethical and correct thing and make some real efforts to save our lives and our property?
You may have seen in the news that there was a fiery crash involving 6 cars and 2 houses here on Jefferson Street on Wednesday, the 24th. My partner, Josh Faust, was the one who restrained the impaired driver from fleeing, and our shared Jeep was the first one smashed and burned. I truly thought our houses were also about to go up as the gasoline-fueled flames spread down the street right under the other cars. There was already a huge fireball, and I was just waiting for an even bigger explosion. The moments when I couldn't locate our next-door neighbors and their new baby felt like an eternity. Another neighbor was minutes from opening her trunk to load up her daughter's daycare bags and almost certainly would have been killed as the cars were slammed into with enough force to move them 30 feet down the block. We are so grateful for first responders who arrived quickly and controlled the flames. This was a terrifying incident for us, and astonishingly, not even the first time we've opened our front doors to see a car on fire. Just 2 years ago, the first floor of a house on the corner was plowed through and a woman lost her life. It was the second time that I know of that the corner house was hit. I felt shocked and helpless after witnessing a fatal accident so close by and stunned as I watched temporary beams start to be installed to keep the house from collapsing. It could have been my house.
Allison mentioned another neighbor who would have been loading her baby's gear into the car. That was my partner. So rather than give you a prepared statement, I want to give you the real idea of what happened that morning. I walked out my front door to smoke a cigarette at 6 o'clock in the morning to a car going 90 miles an hour, slamming into 5 other cars, one of which was my partner's car, our main baby vehicle. I watched the first car that had hit, Josh's car, burst into flames, all before I could light my cigarette. My next door neighbor, John, 2 years ago, watched a car plow into that corner house, and he was helpless to do anything but watch as the lady driving that car burned to death in front of him. I know some of you. I've met some of you through working at Spinners. I know that all of you have people that you love. I know that most of you, I assume, have families. What I can't get over is that had this happened 7 to 10 minutes after it did, my partner would have been cut in half. I haven't been able to sleep well for a week and a half because of that. When I say that it's personal, when I say that I'm begging you to do something besides sit on your asses and be bureaucrats, I'm not kidding. I don't like government. I don't like small government, big government, but I'm here tonight despite that because my wife could have been killed, because my daughter could have been killed, because someone's already been killed in another incident, because it's not going to stop. Think on that.
It's a shame that at 6 o'clock I knew exactly what happened. It shook my house. I burst out of bed and told my wife, there's another accident. I think we got hit, because it shook my house 3 houses away. By the time I got dressed and out in the street, Josh had already corralled the driver and the cars were in flames. And I walk out to my street to see 30-foot flames engulfing 2 cars. I've watched this street get better in terms of the property ownership, of the community, but the traffic issues have steadily gotten worse. And I know, and I'm happy to see that Frederick is becoming bigger, more prosperous and growing, but the traffic issues are too. I have asked repeatedly as I've lived there for something to be done, to which I was told, sure, we'll look into it. One issue, the 2 lights at the end of the street are timed together, so people scream down the street to try to make the other light. It's 25 miles an hour. I dare you to find somebody who goes 25 miles an hour down my street. I've raised 2 kids on this street. I still have a son who goes to Frederick High every day. And now I worry, because he's even told me, he's like, yeah, I almost got hit today, because somebody flew around the corner from Patrick onto Jefferson Street, because they can't figure out which turn lane is proper. It's unfortunate that it takes something like this for us to finally stand up and say enough is enough, and something needs to be done. And as it's been stated before, we're not traffic engineers. I don't know what can be done, but something needs to be done. And it can't be, well, I'm sorry, it's an emergency route. We can't do this, we can't do that. No, you can do something. We're not going away. I don't want to lose my neighbors. I've lived here too long. I have too much invested in this little street. You need to do something. And you need to do something effective. Not lip service, not we'll look into it. Something needs to be done, because I don't want to be back here saying, my son got struck. And I am tired of getting texts going, holy shit, what is wrong with your street? Because that morning, my phone blew up. Again, South Jefferson Street, again, what's going on? It's got to stop. And I'm asking you guys to seriously do something about it.